everyone, and welcome back to Cybernous. And I'm your host, Saint Pratima. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today with someone who has cleared CISSP, the biggest milestone in entire cybersecurity fraternity. So let's all welcome Sunil Dora, who has passed CISSP, and let's understand what were the challenges and what motivated him to keep on going with this journey of CISSP. So Sunil over to you. Congratulations and welcome to the call.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks for having me here. And yes, definitely the journey was nothing which I was expecting. Okay, but yes, I'm just going to share a few things. But let me formally introduce myself. So this is Sunil Jora. So I'm an information security architect in my field as a profession, and currently working with IBM. So I have worked with many companies, okay, in the past. So I carry around 24 years of experience in IT, in which my initial 6 years were into core networking and hardware, okay. And then I had a chance to work with McAfee. So that is where my information security career started, and I sticked with the perimeter security from here. And from last 16 years, I have worked on many topics, which you can see. I have worked with many companies, and to be frank, I have covered around 70 to 80% of the CSP content practically. So I had a chance, I would say, to work on these concepts very closely. And I was very confident that this is something which will help me out with my CSSP examination. Okay, I definitely had I would say dream to become a CISO from the beginning. And coming to my background of the technical expertise, as you can see, I have done my A+, that is a hardware network plus. Even I worked on the electronics and a security plus. I did my MCSE, CCNA and CCNP in the early 2000s. Okay. But I never did a single certification. I'm not sure why I didn't do it, but yeah, I decided that knowledge is something which should define you, not just a piece of paper. Okay, and that helped me a lot in my 24 years career, where I kept growing. And today, I proudly say that I reached to an architect level. Okay, but after a certain time, the industry demands that there should be some sort of accreditation, which should prove that what you are, because not you can't prove go and prove what you are in terms of person to person. So the accreditation tells you that what exactly you are. So that is where I decided to go for the CISSP examination. And let me tell you how exactly my journey started. Okay. Around in the year 2011, okay, that is where I moved out of McAfee and decided to have a journey as an implementer, but not just as a supporter, but as an implementer. And I met with few people who were a CISO, and I made my mind that one day I am going to be a CISO. So it was 2011, and I didn't know the path. I was just searching how to reach to that goal. I was just trying to get in touch with many people, talk with few people, but I didn't have a very clear path. But later on, with the interactions, I came to know that, okay, there's something which we need to start. That is step number one would be your CSSP, because that is the first step which you need to take to move into the leadership roles. Okay, and in 2015, I planned for it. But because of some health issues, some commitments, budget constraints, and I also met a major accident in between, and all of these things kept pulling me back, saying that, okay, next year. But that was not the right thing which I was doing. And last year in January, I made it a goal. Okay, so basically I said that it's a new year resolution which I need to take, and I need to clear my CSSP this year as at any cost. Okay, I started my journey, and I was just finding out for many faculties, or I would say the institutions who can help me out. I reached out some of my colleagues who has already cleared the CISSP and got some basic guidance. I won't say that it was a very huge guidance, but yes, I did get some guidance. And later on, I decided to join a boot camp because I found that the content is very extensive and I need some level of guidance. Okay. And that is where I found out some institutes. I went and joined. I don't want to call the names here, but it was some boot camps. Okay. Boot camps basically help you go through the content through some PPTs. They will explain some concepts and expect you to grasp them. So it is a one-way communication. Okay, that is what most of the trainings are nowadays. It's a one-way communication. We just sit and listen. I did it. Maybe I learned to some extent. I won't say I didn't learn anything, but I felt that okay, it is not enough. Then I just joined one more boot camp with the same institute. I did with a different trainer, and I basically improved a little. I'm not saying I didn't improve. I did improve, and then studied with the content, or I would say the physical copies. Okay, and going through the content, I realized that it is not something which you just read a book and ensure that you are getting everything from the book itself. No, because there are some topics which requires high attention. There are some topics which can be read lightly, but you are not the one who can decide what is what. Because it is not easy for a human to decide what topic is important, which is not. And that is where I was lagging. Okay, I did score around 65 to 75% in my practices, and I was very much confident that I am going to crack the exam because the level of confidence which the institutes provide, okay, unnecessarily. So it was like, you are ready. Okay, I said, okay, let me go and try. I did my attempt in August and I failed badly. It was not just because of the lack of knowledge. I did have the knowledge. The questions or the concepts which are coming, it was also understandable, but the way CISSP twists the question and the pattern of the English, okay, it makes you think in different directions, because even though you know that this is the right answer, but it will twist your brain into thinking into different direction, and that is where you end up selecting a wrong answer. And I really did that a lot, and I was taking a lot more time than I should be spending on each question. So that is where even my exam got timed out. Okay, and that's what and as I said, I never did a certification earlier in my career, and this was my first certification. That was an experience again for me. So I thought that okay, maybe it is not the right time, or it was not a right day or the hour which I selected, because you should select the examination when your brain is highly active. And I selected wrong time slot, which backfired me. Okay, that is one story. And then I said that, okay, let me prepare once again and start working on my basically question practices. So started doing that. December came. I was again ready to give my exam once again. But I felt that there is some corner, I am missing something. Because how to break the code, okay? People say that, okay, how to think like a manager. I went through the videos and a lot of things on YouTube, and I was practicing some questions. And one day suddenly I stumbled upon Manoj sir over YouTube. That is where I realized that what I was missing. Because the way Manoj sir was explaining that questions, or I would say the way he was breaking down the questions bit by bit, okay, I realized that, okay, this is what I was looking for last 1 year, because I studied from January till December, and this is what I was missing, okay, in my preparation. And immediately I booked the appointment over Manoj's LinkedIn profile, where we had a discussion, okay, and I told you that I don't have much time because it was a year resolution and I only have few more days, and can you just put me into fast track? So he said that minimum basically track should be 100 days. That is what the commitment should be. And you definitely offered me 3 batches parallel, okay, and yes, I said definitely I can push back for 1.5 month, okay, not max than that. And yes, the very next day I basically subscribed for the program, and that is where my journey started, the actual journey, I would say, after 1 year. So the first 1 year was the initial preparation, but my actual preparation started in the December. And as mentioned, I have joined all the 3 batches, went through all the content. I finished my content within 5 weeks, okay, as per the content. And then I asked Manoj sir, am I ready? Okay, the question was no, because that is what I wanted. Because any trainer make you go through the content, he will say that, okay, you are done with the content, you are scoring this much, you are ready, you can go and give the exam. But a real mentor, okay, because there's a difference between trainer and a mentor. A real mentor knows when you are exactly ready, because he observes you and he knows that where are your basically weakness, where are your strengths, and based on that he will judge you whether if you are really ready for the exam or you need more preparation. And he kept pulling me back, saying that no, you are not yet ready, because if you want to go, you can go, but definitely I want you to practice more, because you're not yet ready for the exam. So that is where I decided that, okay, let me finish this 100 days mentorship completely. Because yes, I did the 5 weeks journey and I thought that I'm still ready, but yes, the practice, okay, the practice where I was scoring between 65 to 80 now. Instead of 70 or 75, I was scoring 80, but still there was no stability because I was just going up and down. And Manoj sir helped me a lot in that. Because trust me, by the end of the 3rd month, because this is a 100 days program, but by the day 90, I went from the 65 to 70% score till 90%. And you can see the change, what happened to me, because the way Manoj sir helped me in identifying the keywords, or I would say the intention of the question, or I would say basically the comparison keywords. Okay, so all of this, and the way he made us understand how to think like a leader and not as a technician, because this exam doesn't call for people who do. It's not a doer exam, okay, it is a leader exam, because they want you to lead, okay, and by thinking into multiple directions. Because a doer will go and say that, okay, this is the issue and this is the solution, let me go and fix the solution, okay, or fix the issue with the solution. But a leader thinks in 10 different directions, that if I'm just doing this, what are the consequences, what are the future consequences? Okay, that mindset need to come in the CSP. And that is where Manoj sir helps us a lot to work on these concepts, or I would say the mindset, that is the main. Okay, let me just go back to my journey once again. So as I said that I was just going through a lot of content, and basically there was a time when even my scores were also really good. So I was just doing great. I was at some 80+%. And even my basically exam date was been fixed, and Manoj sir told me that can you push for another 2 weeks, because I know that you are at the 80+% mark. Okay, you can clear the exam, but I want to ensure that you do few more practice. Okay, and he started having a personal one-to-one interaction, because no other trainer I have seen in the industry who gives a personal attention to each and every individual. And that made a lot of difference, because yes, he know that I can crack it, but still he wanted to ensure that I am at least at the 90+% mark before I go and attend the exam. Because clearing the 150 questions is not the main. The clearing the first 100 questions is what basically matters, because the first 100 questions decides whether if you are a pass or a fail. And Manoj sir wanted us to focus on that first 100 questions, because after that it is just your luck, or I would say fate. Okay, but the first 100 questions defines what you are, and that is where it helped me. And I remember every time when I sat in the exam, okay, the first 1 hour went very smooth. There was no panic, because the way we prepared, okay, it completely helped me out to be very calm in the first 1 hour. I was just going through my exams. My target was to finish 50 questions. But the moment when the 1 hour clock struck, I was at 45. And that created a small panic because I was short by 5 questions. But I realized and remembered one thing, that if you panic, you are going to lose. Okay? Because it is a question which is testing you. And if you are trying to rush just because you're running out of time, that is not going to help. Because the first 100 questions are basically key. And I remembered that. And I went back and said that, okay, let me calm down. There is good enough time. I'm going to basically beat the exam in the first 100 questions itself. And I have another 2 hours. Okay. I had another 2 hours. So I am going to go in my own pace. So I maintained that pace and I just removed all my negative thoughts from my exam. And that is where things started happening. So I was just giving good enough time to each question. And yes, definitely if there is some question which is very hard, then read through 2 times. If you think that it is not worth, just do an educated guess and move on. Okay. And that helped me a lot. And I was able to score the exam within the 100-second question itself. So I was expecting the 150, but yes, that helped me a lot. So this was my journey, ma'am. And I really thank you, Manoj sir, and the whole Cybernous team who has helped me to change my mindset completely, because I thought that I am the best. Okay. And when you interact with the right people, then you will definitely know, even though you think that you are best, but you know that where are your gaps. And that is what Manoj has filled all those gaps for me. Because yes, I had some knowledge, but there were some gaps which need to be filled. And clearly, I don't have enough words to thank Manoj sir for that. Basically, he really touched my heart, man, I would say. Thank you.
Wow, that was really an inspiring story of yours. And you really got your Krishna who showed you the way path. Like you are Parth and he is your Krishna, and he showed you the right path, how you are going to just win this battlefield of examination. It was really thrilling and exciting, Sunilji. And I'm sure the audience who is watching, they must be getting a huge amount of inspiration through you. So guys, if you are really looking for the correct mentorship, come to Cybernous and join the CISSP Success Toolkit training program of 100 days. Thank you, Sunilji, for sharing your words with me, and most welcome and many congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really a blessing, I would say.